I've been sewing and dyeing my hair. As far as sewing goes, I mean, I'm making this video a little later than I thought I would today because I wanted to get this dress finished, so I just finished this before starting. But the big thing I've been sewing is, sorry I don't have it printed out all in one nice sheet as it would be when you print it to get ready to use it, but I finished the doll pattern to share. And so once I got that finished, I started making variations. Like, well, this is my official finished version. So this is made pretty much straight as directed, all out of one print on a curvy body. Of course, that's the same shirt that I used, same shirt pattern I used for the dress in the sewing video that I shared over the weekend. So you've seen the making of this. So same pattern. And when you give it short sleeves, or don't add the sleeves, it's this. But like I said, then I start experimenting. I mean, as if adding a skirt to it to make it a dress wasn't experiment enough. Actually, I don't have an example here of something else that an idea I had is to make it shorter and then add the skirt from there, which you know is like the dresses I've been making. So one of the first things I want to do is I used the pattern straight. I didn't make any changes in the seam allowances or the sleeve length. I just made it a lot longer, and yeah, I did flare it out a little for the hips. And I made this for 16-inch dolls. Well, I also added these little ruffles on the sleeve. But I did not make the sleeves wider or longer. So these sleeves absolutely would not fit over the hands. I had this doll in a shirt made from this pattern without having to take her hands off, so the short sleeve view will fit over a 16-inch doll hands easily, and it comes, when you put this straight on the 16-inch doll, it comes to like here. So it's a kind of a crop top. So that pattern works as is on larger dolls. You make the seam allowance a little bit smaller and start playing with the sleeve widths, and you can get it on a big doll like her, but that I did really paying no attention to what I was doing at all. And then I wanted to see how it would fit a Ken body, so I raised the neckline a little, because maybe it's just me, but this seems like it's a little low for a guy's shirt neckline. So that's this. All I changed on it was the neckline. The rest of it is made exactly as the pattern is given, with the same 1/4-inch seam allowance and sleeve width and length. So I'd say it successfully fits him. It could be a little longer. And again, it's made out of wovens, so it has sort of a sweatshirt style, but it does not have to be made out of knits. I know a lot of people don't like sewing knits, including me, depending on the knit. So this can give you a nice slouchy sweatshirt vibe while being made out of easy to sew fabric. And like this shirt and this shirt are going into the next trade I'm working on. This is why I don't take trades on very much. Unless usually it has to be somebody I know really well before I'll even consider doing a trade, because I just want to sew everything. So those are going to the trades, and then I was working more trades for the person. I did pretty much straight up in a marbled print and this person liked loud bright prints, so like I have made one of my dresses with this as the top. This was from Phantasm Creations fabric destash, so I'm still getting mileage out of that. And then I experimented a little. I did it making the front, cutting the front on the bias. You see, this is the grain of the cloth. That's a grid. But I cut it on the bias. And then after I did this, I thought I should try that with a plaid, which I haven't yet, but I'm sure I will. And also I tried it with contrast print on the sleeves. And then another idea I'd had, and I'm keeping this one for my own dolls, is to make it out of lace. Now I will say, did I not get her hand all the way in? I can't tell. Anyway, so this is fairly wide lace, but it's only this wide. So I sewed two to get the scalloped edges together to make it long enough. And then the sleeves are just one width of the lace, so they're kind of short. But when you put this on this body, really, well, it's oversized in everybody. When you put this oversized shirt on this body, which has Blythe size proportions, this is a dress I made for Blythe years ago. This is a Project MC squared torso with old articulated Barbie fashionistas legs. And I knew that would happen. So it's a smaller body, and I wanted to see how this would fit on a smaller body. And in lace, and the shorter sleeves worked well with all of this smaller body and combination together. So I'm pretty happy with this, nice and slouchy. And I thought that would be a lot more to show you, but it's like I included the link to the pattern in the description for sewing this dress. And I will of course include it in the link for this video. Plus, every one of my videos I include a link to just the tag on my sewing blog that I use to track my my doll sewing pattern sharing post. So, the other thing I wanted to talk about is Curvy Girls. I don't know if you know, there is a Kickstarter that went live last week for a genuinely plus-sized fashion doll. Curvy is lovely, but Curvy is not plus-sized. Curvy Girls, which I hope Mattel doesn't give them problems for that name. Curvy Girls are made by plus-size people to be genuinely plus-size fashion dolls. And I finally backed it a couple days ago. I backed it there in Kickstarter. I backed it at admittedly the lower level to just get one random blank doll. She has rooted hair, no clothes, no face paint. So, I mean, that'd be my kind of fun. And the reason you don't get to choose which combination, there's 4 dolls and they each have their own skin tone and their own head sculpt and their own hair color. And the reason they don't get you to choose is because the higher levels, when you get the clothed doll or the clothed doll with extra clothes, the deluxe doll, you can choose who you want. And if it funds, which of course will only fund if we all back it, the way they get their minimum, they're going to get their minimums is if, like, say, most people order style A and fewest people order style C. Well, to get each style made, they have to order at least a minimum of each. So the style A's will all get made and given to people, and the style C's, those that are ordered, will get made and shipped, but they have to have the rest of them meeting the minimum. And so those are the ones that are going to be distributed to the people who chose the custom doll, customizers package, I forget what it's called. And they say when they send out the final questionnaire, you will be able to choose and share your preference. But you know me, I like to just, get a surprise and see what I can do with it. So if it funds, and I hope it does, it's funding this month. I think it's going to end at the end of this month. Didn't double check, but if it funds, then they figure it'll take them about a year to get it produced. And going by other doll Kickstarters and independent doll makers like Scary Godmother Doll and Dr. Lisa with Fresh Dolls, you might say a year is being real optimistic, but apparently the Curvy Girl creators have talked to the people behind, talked to Dr. Lisa and her team and Scary Godmother team, and they've learned what to expect and what to do to deal with the factories as far as getting the doll to be produced the way they want. So hopefully that'll take some time out of how long it gets to produce them. And several people in my online doll group are already involved with this. Like John, Doll Junk, he painted the face up on the prototype doll that they are showing on the Kickstarter. And Truffle Mushroom is a really talented illustrator who also is getting into doll customizing and learning what it takes to make good articulation. So Truffs is actually working with the design team to say, hey, here's what you need to give the doll good articulation. So there's a problem a lot of with certain dolls whose name I won't mention, who were not allowed on Kickstarter because they didn't have a prototype, and the whole idea behind the doll is that it's an average person. That doll was made to look normal without clothes on. The thing is, fashion dolls are meant to wear clothes, so sometimes you have to sacrifice a body looking real so that your doll not only will look good in clothes, but so your doll can actually do something like sit and bend their elbows and bend their knees and stand. And so that doll people are involved with this means that if it gets funded, it's more likely that we'll get a thing with good articulation that we can appreciate. And if it gets funded and if it takes them more than a year, you gotta keep supporting them so they can keep working with the factories to get what they want. So I am excited to sew for these dolls. If they do get created, first thing I want to do is see, if I can get this pattern to work. Because right now this is my most versatile pattern. If it will fit this doll, I'm hoping it will fit a plus size 6 scale doll, but we'll see if the doll is ever made. Which, I am not involved with them in any way. This is just me talking about the doll. The doll's only going to get made if we kickstart it, if you want a plus size fashion doll. So, if you want to see me sew it, and I've also promised, as has Cosmo Moore, once these are funded, once these dolls are in the hands, I'm going to make patterns to share for free for them, and Cosmo is going to make patterns to share for free for them. So we're really excited to be able to get this creativity going in the greater doll community once the dolls exist, and they only exist if you kickstart them. Again, I'm no way related to this, I'm just sharing my enthusiasm, and that's it. Most of my time has spent, like I said, touching up my hair and sewing this. When I originally cut this, I borrowed the sleeve bands from another pattern that I hadn't ever used before, and I didn't realize they were way too small. So I had to spend most of my time today ripping them out, carefully snipping the thread to pull them off and create new sleeve bands. So a lot more time has gone into sewing this than I expected, so I don't have, I was planning to sit down and use the last of the gray thread to throw together some more doll clothes. Like all of these I sewed with the same gray thread that I sewed this. This gray thread is fairly versatile. So, did I sew this? Yeah, this one was a gray thread too. And this one. So I had originally hoped that I would be able to get this finished this morning and then sit down and knock out some more of these, but, plans. So hopefully next week, I have another dress cut out to sew for me. Hopefully it won't have as many surprises as this one had, because this is the first time I used this sleeve variation. So hopefully that'll go smoother, and I'll have more doll stuff to share, and yeah, as I always say, we'll find out next week. Thanks for watching.